The mental game of business. Hey, this is Donnie Bovine, the CEO and founder of Success Champion Networking and author of the new book, Fuck to Focused. This is Growth Mode, a podcast all about growing and scaling your business. And hanging out with me, as always, is Kevin Snow, the sales automation tactician and genius. And in this episode, we're going to dive into the mental beatdown that running a business can be and how to keep yourself from freaking going backwards in the mental game of life. I can tell you, as I launched my company, Success Champions, I was not prepared for the mental game that I was getting ready to get into. A lot of me thought that I not only did I outwork most people when I was an employee, I really thought I understood how business functioned, and I thought I understood how businesses were ran, and I really thought that there was going to be some easy moments in building a business, and every assumption I had about business was absolutely wrong. And to make it even crazier is I would have told you that I knew myself pretty well prior to building a business. But man, nobody tells you as you build a business, if you're getting after it and you're doing the right things and you're actually trying to put yourself out there, you're going to meet yourself. In one moment, you're going to freaking come face to face with the dude in the mirror and you're going to figure things out really, really quick. And I think the by far the biggest discovery, especially in the mental game, was you get to a point where you just run out of freaking excuses, and that's a tough moment because you don't often realize how many excuses you use in life until you get to a place when there's nobody left to freaking blame. So, uh, how about you, man? I mean, we both told our stories about building a business and how fucking hard it's been, but mental game for you, how much of a bitch has it been?
Well, I think the whole going into business without understanding what you're getting yourself into is this ideal that's spreads across the internet like a viral video, because everyone puts out all these things about start a business and have control your calendar. Yeah, but controlling my calendar is which 16 hours I'm working.
Right.
That is literally what
Right.
controlling your calendar is as a business owner. I read you the ad that showed up on my Instagram post this morning. Here's how you can work 3 days a week and run 3 businesses and have a seven figure company. I'm like, yeah, you can at some point, but that's not how it starts. Everyone has
Yeah.
this big picture of where they want to be, but they don't understand what it takes to get there. And that's
Oh, for
usually,
sure.
and that's the huge, kick in the nuts that most business owners have at some point of being a business owner. Is like, oh my God, this is really hard work.
Well, and then you loop into the fact that most of us didn't grow up in this entrepreneur household. I mean, your folks were farmers, so there were some entrepreneurs, but I think there's a little bit difference between being a farmer and, a traditional business owner for sure. I mean, there's a lot of
And there
similarities.
totally a lot of similarities. And I didn't even until I owned my own business did I look back and say, oh my God, my parents own a business. It's literally, it's just a lifestyle. Owning a farm and growing up on a farm and doing the farm stuff, that's just your lifestyle. That's what stuff is. It's not like, ooh, we have a business, and we're not thinking, we tracked what it costs to like raise animals and do all that type of stuff, but it's a completely different mindset. So like I said, at some point I was like, oh my God, my parents actually have a business. Why don't you get what I'm going through? uh,
Right.
and it's
Yeah, but that's the difference of it. And I actually just wrote down a future episode of running a farm like building a business, just so I think it would be fun for you and I to explore all the similarities of farming and business. But to that point, your parents were their parents farmers? I'm
yeah.
just curious. Right. So that's why they didn't understand there was no difference And for them it was just a natural two-step type thing. You didn't choose to go into farming, so what you're doing is complete anomaly like the rest of us, that weren't surrounded by traditional business owner style parents. you know all of our friends and family usually just think we're fucking weird, or we're crazy to go out on our own and start our own shit. Why would anybody put themselves through that? And I think that's where a lot of the mental beatdown comes from, because I don't give a shit who you are. That first year, that maybe that first two, you are robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're freaking, scrambling, trying to make any sort of income and revenue coming in, and all the while trying to keep a chipper, smile on your face as your whole world is crashing the fuck in. That's a lot of work to do. And I think it's one of the things I like about what we do is we're constantly trying to let people know that they're not a fucking island, that we all sucked at business early on, as we were figuring things out.
Well,
So
and I think it's really important for entrepreneurs, business owners to know it's okay to feel frustrated and to feel stressed. It's okay to have that all those emotions that come at the bottom of the roller coaster, uh, or at the top, depending on which way what part of the roller coaster ride you actually like. But it's okay to have that, but it's you need to have that person that you can express them to, and you need to
yeah,
understand who not to express them to, because they're just going to escalate and exasperate those feelings, because they're going to say something they think is helpful, but it's really not.
for sure. Well, and I think some of those tough moments that we went through is what allowed us to create a lot of things that we are creating. I mean, there's a lot of shit we built, usually when I was pissed off over something, because something didn't work right or go right. And then Kevin has to get to work because I'm like, fuck it, let's fix it. Let's do this. Let's build this.
So it's like
But
the happy wife, happy life in our company, and you're the wife.
I don't know how we got to there,
Dottie's
but
unhappy. Kevin has to do something and make him happy again.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think Kevin secretly wants me to be his wife. I'm not really sure what
Yeah,
happened there.
no, that's not it at all.
So, but it's fascinating for me that no, I don't think it's like going into boot camp. Nobody can prepare you for the mental game of what you're about to do. I mean, you can hear it, you can be told it, and it's not until you get into it that you're like, holy fuck, why did I
Yeah,
do
my
this?
first week of boot camp, after we got there, went through reception, got into the whole thing. That first Sunday where everyone's like, "Oh my god, we can go to church and not have drill sergeants with us." I literally sat there and was like, "What the fuck have I done? what? What? Oh my god, what was I
Oh, it
thinking?"
took you a week? Dude, I was talking to David Marlowe on LinkedIn today because he has a post about, today is like his 24th anniversary of Marine Corps boot camp, going standing on yellow footprints. And I just replied to his comment. I said, the first thought that I thought when I stood on the yellow footprints, because in the Marine Corps, that's where you get lined up the first time, is the yellow footprints. And I said, the first thought that ran through my head is all these guys yelling, screaming, everything else is, oh, I fucked up.
I
Because I knew instantly that I hated being told what to do. And now for the next 4 fucking years, I was going to be told what to
I
fucking
I
do.
think I had the idea right away. It's like, oh god. But that first week they didn't give you time to actually have any of your own thoughts. That we were, immediately went through
Yeah,
that, and then we're out on the
yeah,
confidence course, the ropes course, rappelling. We're doing a lot of stuff really quickly, and that didn't allow us to think about stuff. It Where it hit me
yeah.
was,
Did you guys stay up
go ahead.
when you had a chance to take a breather and go, huh? And then now all of a sudden everything crashes on
Yeah,
you.
and they were still doing, at that point they were doing the, oh, it's the middle of the night, we're gonna wake them up. because they wanted to completely there. It was at red phase where it's literally let's just break them down physically, mentally,
Yep.
do that whole thing. And that's really, I think, where you get, for me, that first weekend of being beat on and then, saying, oh my God, what happened? But then fortunately, I was an old bastard when I joined. So I was able to have the internal monologue. It's like, all right, I know what they're doing. This is a mental game. They are trying to break me mentally, and I'm older than them, and I've been through more than them. I can do this, and I think for businesses, it's being able to have that conversation and being able to realize what's going on. And when you're having, when you're busting your ass, you're having, nothing's working right, being able to take that step back and look at a big picture instead of having that myopic view of what's going on right then and there in the company, and be able to say, all right, here's where I'm going, here's what's going on, here's how I get past this. And I think the reason a lot of small businesses fail so quickly is because they won't take the step back and look at the big stuff. They get really
Yeah,
focused
I
on
agree
just
with
that
that.
really minuscule stuff that's pissing you off and letting that control your destiny.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the difference between what we went through in boot camp and building a business is in boot camp, somebody was always telling you what to do. And out there on your business, nobody's really telling you what to
Yep.
do. So you got to figure it out. And if you don't take that step back and look at the overall scheme of things, then the mental beating the shit out of yourself gets worse. And then that's why how most people end up building a job versus a company, because they're just so ingrained in it that they can't force themselves to level up or evolve into a business owner mindset. Because and I think that's the biggest thing about this is it's an evolution to start thinking like a business owner, because it's not easy at all to know what the right steps and the right moves are. And there's not a lot of rule books out there. I mean, when I wrote the book Fuck to Focus, I hope to give people a lot more guidelines, but ultimately it's still their business, to figure out, build, run, create, grow. And that's why I think it's so damn important to get around other business owners, get around other successful people that you can ask questions, bounce ideas off of, and get encouragement in the dark times and get people cheering you on when things are
You
going
know,
right.
the
Because
cool thing
go ahead.
about being able to have the big picture and being able to look at things in not in that myopic I'm focused on just one thing is it really makes it easier for you to accept risk and try things and adjust and pivot. You messaged me earlier, like a couple days ago. It's like, all right, I have an idea, but it's a really huge risk. And my head immediately goes to, all right, so we're going to try something. It's either going to work really fucking great or we're going to lose the entire company. And your big risk was, I think we should bring on a commission only sales guy, to do some, chapter placement stuff for us. I'm like, that is not at all what a big risk is to me anymore. You know, but I
Right.
think it's because we have
Well,
this big picture where we want to go and where and the steps we need to get there. That allows, before that would have been like, oh my God, we're going to give away revenue, but that wasn't my reaction anymore. I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. Like, what's the issue? So,
and I think, it's like with anything, one, you set the stage bigger and scarier than it's actually going to be. So when you do drop what's fixing to happen, it's not as crazy as it actually sounds like. But the moment of evolution that we've gone through is that ability to step back and go, okay, how does this thing actually get us where we want to go? And it's like, putting Kevin in more of a sales role, which is one of the things we're talking about. in doing that, where does that hurt our business from a growth standpoint of being able to build out all the operational things and things we need to go? So it's the option. Okay, cool. Let's bring on a salesperson, keep Kevin more focused on the operational growth of the business while we freaking go gunslinging, on the front end to build the front end, and then we'll figure out how to bring in more revenue to get more shit off Kevin's plate to make it, more justifiable. But I mean, even bringing on a salesperson at this point, and just for perspective for listeners, I mean, we're 4.5 years in, I'm 4.5 years into building this, and just now contemplating bringing on a salesperson, and which is an evolution itself. But the first thing I told Kevin is we've got to set this kid up for success, and build processes and systems that allows me to sit side by side with him in a you go, I go mentality, and not just throw his ass to the wolves. And, often I think Kevin and I both put shit out there from the perspective of how do we do this in a way that we wish we had it as we were coming up, from sales, from, running a business to mindset, is what is the shit and things we wish somebody was telling us, during this time and during this journey. And I think that's been an evolution all along for me because, you know, nobody did it for us. So we're having to learn how to explain things to others that they would get it. And that's a mental
Yep.
upgrade. You know,
So we've talked a couple times about the importance of having those people that you can actually talk to, and you can tell the real things that are going on in your business, so that you aren't internalizing and just keeping everything bottled up inside until it explodes. How do you identify them? How do you know that that person is someone that you can actually share that stuff with, and it's going to be a constructive conversation, as opposed to everyone thinks, hey, I can tell my parents and my family this and they'll be really supportive. Well, yeah, but they're not going to be the right kind of supportive. So how do you identify that it's the right person that's going to give you the right support?
for me, it's a lot of conversations. I mean, I've done so many virtual coffees, and you learn to listen for indicators and clues of where somebody's at on their journey. Because first and foremost, if you're going to get advice on your business, you need somebody who's already doing and down the path of what you're trying to create. You don't want to get advice from somebody who's not doing the things that allow them, that got their business to some point. And, you've got to find people that are genuinely invested in your success. And, some of the tells and indicators for me is when we jump on a virtual coffee, are they only interested in telling their shit? Are they not invested at all about my story and the things we do? And a couple of the guys that I talk to, and even Mandy from a mental standpoint, you know, they're really good at genuinely giving a shit about me and what I'm doing. And that's the biggest thing for me is it's not coming from a place of let me tell you what to do. It's more coming from a place of asking me questions so I can come to the conclusions I need to come to. And that's been a fascinating thing for me. So, step one, are they actually where you want to be? Step two, are they genuinely interested in what you're trying to accomplish? And step three, do they genuinely give a shit about you? And, you know, I know over my career that there's been motherfuckers giving me advice that they only give me advice because it filled their fucking pocket, you know? And so I think you can tell. And the last portion of it all is, can you feel their vision and where they're going on their journey? Are they actually going, even if they are where you want to be, are they going bigger still? And I think if you find those four things, it's a great place to be able to use that person and leverage them as a more mentor type,
Yeah, I think as
ability.
you're going out and having these conversations, one of the things you want to listen for is that everything isn't all, you know, a bed of roses in their world, that they actually are willing to
Yeah.
share challenges they had during their, when you ask them, tell me your story, I want them to actually talk about the challenges that they had, that they overcame, and be open with it. If everything is, we grew this amazing company, we went from 0 to 7 digits, and it's all a pitch then. And it's not, they're not actually invested in you. It's the people who are, yeah, when I started my company, oh my God, it sucked, and they tell you those stories. Those are the people that are going to be willing to share and actually help you grow. You know, it, there's We've both
Yep.
met with people who aren't that way, and when we ask them to tell you the story, it's only the
Yeah.
coolest things that happened to them that puts them in the best light.
I think, a good thing to do in all walks of life is being able to really read people and read and understand motives. And I think that'll help you a lot. So, but ultimately for the mental game of business, man, there's a lot of shit you can do. You can journal, you can, self-reflect and all that. But for me, I really think it's about getting around the right circles, the right people that are going to lift you up, push you up, um, tell you, kick you in the ass when business is in a slump, and really cheer you on when business is doing successful. Simple things like a buddy of mine just got selected to speak at the largest podcast convention, in the world with podcast movement, man. And when I first met this dude years ago, he wasn't really doing anything with his life. He had a job. He was, half-assing a podcast and wasn't doing a lot of things. And you launch where he's at on his journey now, and he's speaking on every major podcast stage. And he just got on the king of all podcast conferences. And the dude has evolved into an extreme badass and running a hell of a business around podcasting, which has really been a cool thing to watch. And that's the kind of people you want in your world, the people that are putting in the time, doing the work, and creating the things, because those are going to help and drive you and push you along the way. So, as always, if you guys got any tips, tricks, any value out of this episode, please leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Share this out with one person who would find value with this. And man, we love all the emails and messages you guys send in. So feel free to keep sending those in, and any questions you guys have as well. So love you, mean it. See you. Bye.